Emily, and I'm going to talk about the symbols in the awakening. When the book first starts out, the first thing you see is the green and yellow parrot. And to me, there are a lot of juxtaposing colors throughout the book, and green and yellow together kind of symbolize the feelings of envy and then agitation together. And when you see the parrot, he is in a cage, and that also symbolizes the entrapment of women. And then you see a lot of white throughout the book, and when you see white and green contrasted together, it has to do with the house on Esplanade Street. Edna and Mr. Pontellier's house is a white house with green shutters, and when you see white throughout the book, it symbolizes purity and just kind of saying how everything is normal on the outside and everything is just pure and good. And then green usually represents money and envy and just kind of that emotion. And Mr. Pontellier is a character that really, really cares about appearances, just like kind of the rest of the people in the book. And Edna is who is trying to get away from that. When you see white and blue throughout the book, you mainly see it when the Farival twins are introduced, and they're always dressed in white and blue. And those are the Virgin's colors. And so again, you're seeing images of purity. And then white and black is a big contrast. Obviously, they're two opposite colors right next to each other, and you see that in a lot of scenes when you have the couple who are dressed in white, and then they're followed by a lady in black who is always telling her beads. And to me, that kind of represents just what Edna is going through as a whole, and it's just kind of her being followed by this black cloud, or something that kind of foreshadows her awakening, I guess. So you see her with the white and the purity, kind of her trying to get out of that. So you see that followed by the dark colored black. And then you also see Kate Chopin talking a lot about lighting in the book, and just the weather in general. And it says that when Edna is kind of at a further point in her awakening, when it's sunny outside and when the weather is good and nice, then she's very much into doing her own thing, and she's kind of happy, and she has more of a sense of hope about things. And when the weather is dull, or if it's cloudy and rainy, she is just very not in a mood to do anything, and she goes into sort of a state of depression or despair almost. And it says in the book that she only finds satisfaction in the work itself. Art is a big symbol in the book. It represents freedom and failure. Edna kind of really tries to become a true artist throughout the book, and she kind of takes up art as a way of bringing about her awakening and trying to find herself and who she really is. So she basically is trying to find her freedom throughout the art. It's a big symbol of self-expression and self-assertion. As I mentioned, it's her using art as a way to really just find out who she is and kind of satisfy what she's looking for. Mademoiselle Reisz is she's a character in the novel, and she kind of is the provider of a lot of warnings to Edna, and continuously tells Edna that in order to be a true artist, or to be brave, she needs to have strong wings. And it's another reference to birds, and I'll talk about that in a little bit. But she is kind of Edna's guide, and she's who Edna looks up to throughout Edna trying to find her awakening and all of that. Birds are probably the biggest symbol throughout the book, besides the ocean. They represent the ability to communicate, and like I said, the entrapment of women. Like when you first are introduced, you see the parrot in the cage, and then that's also contrasted with a mockingbird right next to it. They just really represent her entire awakening, like how she comes about, and like the desire for flight and freedom. It's just Edna wanting to completely be removed of anything of society that's really holding her back, like her family, really just her husband and her kids, and just what society basically is telling her to do and who she is supposed to be. As I previously mentioned, Mademoiselle Reese provides a lot of warnings to Edna about how she needs to kind of be strong and take flight if she truly wants to, find herself or just be a true artist, I guess. And then you see Edna end up in what she calls the pigeon house at the end of the story. And that kind of represents like the final part of her awakening when she moves into the pigeon house. So birds are really important throughout this book. Another symbol you see is foods, and this is another really big symbol because you see a lot of meals taking place throughout the book, just shared by many characters, but most often you see Edna and her husband sharing a meal, where you see Mr. Pontellier is never really satisfied with the meal, but Edna continuously says that even the most mediocre of foods are, very satisfying to her. And but then you quickly see after she finishes meals, she's very hungry for kind of the next thing, and you see that she's never really satisfied. You can see that she's obviously looking for something, and the food kind of really represents just her emotional hunger to find what she's looking for kind of within herself. Another big symbol is clothes. And you see, when Edna first enters the story, she's fully dressed, and then throughout the book, she gradually removes parts of her clothes, just removing layers, and then, of course, at the end of the book, when she is about to dive into the sea and commit suicide, she is completely naked. So the removal of clothes throughout the book represents her awakening as well. And then when you see Adele and Madame Lebrun, they like to make clothes throughout the book, and they do a lot with clothes. And when you see the lady in black, who's always following the couple in white, and Mademoiselle Reese, their clothing never changes. It's always just the same, and nothing happens. So that kind of represents just no kind of physical attachment, I guess, from the story.